How you going, guys? Just got an install video today. This is for a 200 series which has no steering wheel control. So this is a 2016 GXL. If you've got a steering wheel control that looks like this and it's got no steering wheel controls, then that's where these come in. So these are our steering wheel control modules. As you can see, they're a factory fit, so you're keeping your same steering wheel, but it's just replacing these side panels here, which on this model are blank. We've obviously put our head unit already in this car, so that won't be a part of the install, but we'll show you how to integrate it with it. And yeah, we'll go ahead and show you what comes in the kit and try and explain every different bit of wiring. Alright, so here's everything that we've got in the kit, sort of laid out on the table here so you can see it. These are the two panels for the steering wheel controls with a plug in the middle between them. And it's also got this little spade connector. And then we've got the steering wheel wiring kit over here. So this will go into this here, and then it's also got this little white plug which goes into the wireless sender box. And then we've also got this horn cable and the ground. So the grounds will basically just put under one of these areas that you use to screw into the steering wheel, as that will give it a good grounds. And then the horn cable is like a spade connector. So there'll be a spade connector that the current unit is already using that goes to the sort of airbag module. And what we're going to do is unplug that, plug our one into that, and then this one will go into the original spade connector. But I'll show you how to do that when we're in the car. Now over here, we've got what we need to hook up on the head unit side. So what we've got is, this is basically a piggyback cable. There's a plug from the car that looks like this, and our current head unit cable kit has a plug like this. So all we're doing is just unplugging the connection between those two, plugging this side in, then plugging that side in, and then it's just going to piggyback and give this power. So this is going to connect into our receiver box, which is how the wireless connection comes through from the controls themselves, and that'll give it power. And then out of that will be our key 1 and key 2, which we will use like an SPL connector to hook up to the key 1 and key 2 wires on the main harness. So this plug here, we'll get more into it. We're actually in the process of improving this kit, so this is not one that's going to be used today, and I'll sort of explain why and what we're planning to do in the future to make the kit better. But yeah, we won't be using that. We'll use the key 1 and key 2 wires. And then it also at the moment comes with another main harness, which again we're going to change because the kit doesn't need to come with a main harness, because it's actually the exact same main harness as is in the car. But this is just how I can show you, I guess, the key 1 and key 2 wires. So these come off on the actual main harness already, and all we need to do is strip them. I'll grab some connectors and then connect them up to this key 1 and key 2 wire here. But that will be the install, and I'll get in the car and show you guys how to get on with it. Alright, so we're back in the car, and the first step is going to be to remove the original side panels. And to do that, we need to get this center section off, which has the airbag and is the horn. Now, I had the luxury of doing this earlier, so I've left the horn unplugged, as you can see, but you're probably going to set it off a couple times while doing this, so just be careful of that, don't hit your head on anything. But yeah, the first step is going to be removing these little side bits. So there's one on either side. Basically just need to grab a little fascia removal tool of some kind. You can just get under there and lever it. So these come with our head unit kits. Try and do this one-handed, it's a bit awkward. There is a tap there that makes it a bit easier if you've got the hand dexterity. There you go, I'll come from this side. Not easy to do while filming. Okay, so there's that one, and then I'll come around the other side and get the other one off. Same process, just get a good camera angle. There we go. Just get something underneath it and pop it off like that. Alright, so there's basically now, at this point, sort of 3 latches, one about there, and one at the bottom, that are holding this in place. And it's kind of hard to show without some lights, so I'll grab a torch. Alright, so this is something that's unfortunately very difficult to film, but if you can see sort of in the top left there, I'll try and zoom in, there's that little pin there. So what you need to do is essentially just grab a flathead screwdriver and push that down. And once you've pushed it down, that should pop out the side that I'm on, the left side. There's also one on the right side, which you do the exact same thing for. And then after I've done that, I'll show you like the sort of bottom middle one. But there you go, there's a bit more context. But yeah, it's just up in that top corner up there. So that little metal pin, just push that down with a flathead. All right, so I just got a flathead in there and I pushed it down, and you should hear like a little noise, and you'll get a bit of give on the left side here. So that's just the left one done so far. Go over to the right side and it's in pretty much the same spot. Let me see if I can show it on camera. It's a bit hard with the thing in the way there. So as you can see, pretty much the exact same spot. Just got a flathead in there and push that little lever down, and you should have the whole top half of the airbag section sort of loose. Here's my attempt at filming it. So just grab a flathead. Sorry if it's not super clear. Get over it and push it down. There you go, and you should sort of hear it fall out of place there. And as you can see, we've now got a pretty loose top half. So now we just need to come on the other side again and get the bottom bit out. Okay, so the bottom bit, it's kind of hard to show again, but it's that little blue lever. I'll try and zoom in on it again. There you go, it's sort of that lever you can see coming across, that little thin bit of metal, and you have to lift it up towards the top of the steering wheel, I believe. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and that should release the bottom. Just like that. And that's that bottom bit released now. So now we should have all three bits loose, and this section can just come away. So sorry if that was hard to show. I'll just briefly show the levers again once this is out, but here we go. All right, so the pins that we were just moving, again, just to show you in case you're still struggling, was this pin here at the bottom is the last one we did, so that one had to be lifted up. And we came in from the side to do that with a screwdriver. And then there was this one up in the top left, which we had to get the screwdriver in and push sort of inwards like that. And then again on the right, this pin here, we had to push inwards with the screwdriver. So that should release all of that, and then you'll be able to pull this away. And what you're left with is, this was plugged in, so I'll plug that back in at the end, but that was what causes the horn to go off, so I'm leaving that unplugged for now. It's just a standard plug. It's got a little white tab you can push down and pull it out. Leave that one plugged in, and then we've got a spade connector that goes into the airbag section itself. And then also these two, which are the airbag, and you can leave those plugged in. There's no need to unplug them for the purpose of this install. But yeah, that's that removed. So what we need to do now is take off these side panels. So there should be 4 screws. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, just holding them in place. I've taken them out, and I don't want to put them back in because a couple of them are really badly stripped from factory. So I don't want to keep playing around with those. But yeah, take those screws out. Just a regular Phillips head screwdriver will do it. And then you can just pull these off. So I find the bottom comes away really easy. If the top gets jammed a little bit, you kind of have to push it that way as you pull it out. There you go. That's how you get these out. So just pop off the bottom, slide it to the right, and comes off really easy. And there we go. We're now ready to put in the new steering wheel control panels. All right, so I've grabbed all of our stuff. And the first step is obviously to get these and mount them and then screw them into place. But before you screw them in, keep in mind that we want to hook up the ground from this cable kit here. So obviously just pick one of these, put it in place before you screw it in, and then screw it in over the top. So I'll just push this in on the left side, and then I'll slip this underneath first. Just slide it there, and then grab one of our factory screws and screw that over the top, and that should give us a pretty solid ground for our sender box. There we go. And then all we need to do now is push in the other side and then screw in the rest of these with the factory screws. So I'll do that now. Cool, so those are in place, looking nice and firm now. And then what we have is obviously this plug here, which goes into our one that bridges the gap between these two. So that's in place now. And then we've got this one here, which goes into our receiver box, or our sender box, sorry. So that's one of the black boxes. I'll just grab it now. Again, there was two that came in the kit. So we had this one, which has the LED and key button on it. And then we've got the one that's just blank. It's the one that's blank that goes on this side. So I think the plug's unique anyway, but just so you know. Just go into place like that. And then all we have left is the, this little horn cable spade connector. And there's this spade connector as well, coming off this center plug. So what we need to do is, on this side, from our factory plug, just take away the factory spade connector. If that doesn't come off as easy as mine, there is a little lever there that you can push down, so just do that if you need to. But I'll go ahead and put our spade connector on there. Just like that. And then we've just got the horn cable and then the factory spade connector. So what we do with the factory spade connector is attach it to the horn cable, and then we'll just give this an electrical tape so that it stays in place nice and secure. And then the final step before we put everything away will be plugging this back in, but I won't do that yet because we want to get the serial controls tested and running before I close it all up. So I'll just quickly tape this into place, and then we'll go and do what we have to do behind the head unit. Alright, so back over at the head unit side, what we need to do now is install our receiver harness and hook it up to the key 1 and key 2 wires. So what we need to do there is, obviously we've got this little patch or piggyback cable, which goes to the receiver box. So just grab the receiver box and plug that into it. There we go, the black plug into there, and that's in place. And then what we need to do is unplug this one, because that's what matches up to it. So this is the factory plug here. Just push down the lever, pull it out, and then ours can go in between the factory plug and the head unit plug, just like that. Cool, so that's going to give this power. And then what we have now is this plug, which we're not going to use. And then we have the key 1 and key 2 wires. So from our main black 20-pin plug, I've got the extension on here, but the 20-pin plug, you should have coming off somewhere these two brown wires, which will have labels key 1 and key 2. If they're not labelled, then it's the brown one is the key 1, and then the key 2 is the brown one, which has a little black stripe on it. But essentially, all we need to do is hook them up to these two wires. So I'll just go ahead and strip this side, and then I will just use some easy connector tools to get them together, and then we'll test the unit. Alright, so just grab some wire strippers, and here we go. Just going to take these ends off of these. That's one. That's two, and then I'll just take a bit more wire as well. Alright, so just took some wire strippers and took a bit of cable off the end of these. So all we need to do now is just hook up the key 1 to the key 1. So I might flick off those labels, push that into there. Key 1 to key 1, like that. And then grab the key 2 and push it to key 2. Cool. So that should be all the wiring done. I'm just going to get the head unit in now, and then I can test it. Alright, so I've just plugged in the head unit. Not really much of it, just the power and the camera, just to make sure that we're still getting a reverse trigger, because I think it's only an issue if you decide to plug in this, which we're not using, but I think that could cause you to lose reverse trigger in the past. Now to test it, make sure you go ahead and plug in that white 4-pin plug there. The steering wheel, you're going to get the horn if you play with it too much, but you need that to power the sender. So now that's all in place, what we're going to do is make sure it's working. So they're not going to work straight away. You got to go into apps, and then it's over here, SWC, and tap on any of the functions, and then you can tap the steering wheel control to pair them. So if I tap volume up, you'll see it's blinking, and then on the steering wheel, I'm going to hit, let me just zoom this out a bit, I'm going to hit volume up on the steering wheel, so I'll do that once again. Tap up, and then volume up on the steering wheel, and as you can see, I can now increase the volume with the steering wheel, so that's working. Volume down. Now, on this right side, we've got all of these steering wheel controls as well, and typically in cars, these are used for like your display in front of you to do stuff with the car, but obviously that won't be the case for this one. They're kind of just there aesthetically. They can be used, again, for any of these functions here, so if you want to bind them to more stuff, absolutely can. So a good option, a good example is this back one. I can go to that, and maybe you could use, for example, that one next to it as like a home button or something. But yeah, it's kind of up to you what you do with these. The majority of your infotainment stuff is going to be on this left side. That's kind of what you need. So yeah, up to you on this right side, but yeah. Guys, so I did find that it's actually going to be pretty hard, depending on the model of steering wheel you have, to put this final airbag back on with our new wiring involved. So I had to do a bit of rerouting. So initially, the two cables that come from these and meet in the middle are zip tied to these top left and right bits. What you want to do is snip those and then take these off and filter it. And sort of just like make the cable come through the middle section here. As you can see, it's coming through here now. And on this side, the same. So what that means is this here can go much lower down, because normally it's here in the middle and it's in the way. So yeah, that's going to be an issue, obviously. This bottom section here is a good place to put the receiver itself, just underneath everything, because it's obviously a bit bulky, so keep it down there. And then I've wired up through the back, or behind this, I wired up the horn cable, so that can kind of just float, I guess, because it's pretty thin. And then yeah, once you've got it wired in this fashion, obviously this needs to go much lower down, but it's up here, it connects to this, so that's holding that in place. But once I pull this down, I'll be able to push that out of the way, and then I just need to plug in the horn plug again. And obviously as you push it in for the final time, it's going to honk pretty loud, so maybe warn anybody nearby. But yeah, so I'll go ahead and mount the camera and then go and do that. All right, so gonna put it on. We did just do this, but we had perpetual honking as I put it down, and the reason for that we believe is we had this ground pointed up this way, and we think as we put it on, it might have been contacting something and just causing it to continuously honk. So maybe rotate that ground down so it's facing down the bottom right this way. But yeah, I basically had a time trial where as it was honking, I had to quickly remove this, so that wasn't very fun. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and put the horn on now. Fingers crossed we don't get that again. So you're gonna get some honking while you do this again, so warn anybody nearby who's probably going to get a fright from it. We're all plugged in, so here we go. There we go, and it's on. So you get a bit of honking as you do it, but we've got a factory looking steering wheel now with completely working controls. So that's the end of the install. Just go ahead and finish pairing it to your liking on the head unit, and we're all done.